Good evening, everybody. Thursday, the 9th of November. It is episode 117 of So What's Been Happening. This one rounds out a little three-peat series that we've done this week, starting off with Jamie Hutchings we had earlier this week, and last night Mark Sinton as well. And tonight we get to talk to another Melbourne muso who's recently moved away from local Melbourne anyway into regional Melbourne, just outside of into Castlemaine. And we'll have a chat to him shortly, Carr. Thanks to Chris Familton for organising this one as well, as he did with Jamie. So thank you to that. We've got a couple more coming up next week, which we'll talk later. But just before we kick off with Al, I just want to touch on a couple of gigs that are on. Tonight, the Tote kind of reopens officially. We got to save the Tote and now got a flurry of gigs kind of happening. So this one will kick off tonight with Bad Dreams, who are doing massive things at the moment. They're headlining, which was known as a secret headliner a little while ago. It's just been announced. And Dr. Shaw's Unusual Practice, as well as Don't Thank Me, Spank Me. So make sure you're there tonight later on. I think that kicks off around now-ish, but save your legs and stay with us for a little while, and then you can head off to the Tote. And the big one for this weekend is Lillipalooza. Plenty of artists on, the Murlocs and Coffin headlining there with Full Flower Moon Band, and we've had Emily South on, so make sure we get down and see her. It's officially sold out, I think, now, which is fantastic for Luli and the Luli Tavern. And then for Sunday, it's a bit of a Sunday recovery session, Small Town Romance at the Gem with the Luke Sinclair set opening up for them. So that'll be a great way to spend a Sunday arvo. So there's just a couple of gigs out and about at the moment. Make sure you go out and check out some of those. But tonight, it's all about Al Carr. So look forward to chatting to him now. We'll bring up Al and have a chat about what's going on in his life and exciting new music, no doubt, as well. So let's bring him up. Welcome, Al.
G'day, Aaron. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Episode 117 roars up pretty quickly. We're not far off 100. It feels like only a couple of weeks ago. So we've really started to punch out some artists now. So thanks for joining us, mate.
No worries. Thanks for having me. Yeah, those are impressive numbers.
Yeah, they are. As I mentioned to you a little bit just before, this was never supposed to go past kind of the first really podcast that we just jumped on for a chat just about life, talking about all things and all challenges. And music was obviously one of those during the lockdown period. And so it was fantastic that we're able to jump on still these days and promote. We do this for a bit of fun now, chatting to artists and having a bit of fun. And hopefully one day, who knows, some people jump on and sponsor. We had Heaps Normal do a special send us some beers to review, which was really nice. So we'd love to do that again with a few other people. Obviously, we do that with music as well. But tonight, it's all about Al Carr and your life story and in journey in music so far, mate. So thanks again for jumping on.
No worries.
All right. You're over in Melbourne now, moved to Castlemaine not long ago, but that's not kind of where you were born and where you came from. Tell us a little bit about that, mate.
Yeah, so born in London, but family immigrated to Australia, probably would have been 2 or 3 years old, so 81, 82, something like that. Immigrated to Sydney, which is kind of where I grew up, out in the Hills district, a place called Castle Hill. Lived in a place called Borkham Hills as well, kind of Western Sydney. So, yeah, lived there for, all of my childhood, teenage years, and started playing in bands when I was at uni at Sydney Uni in the inner west there, and this would have been late 90s, early 2000s. It sort of kicked things off, playing at the old usual haunts, Hopeton Hotel, the Annandale, Lansdowne. Yep. A few of them are still going, a lot of them aren't.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's sad that we've lost a few venues on the back of COVID as well, but we also lost a few well before then. So in saying that, there are some new venues that are popping up, some smaller little venues, some indie little venues in and around Melbourne, especially. I'm sure the same thing's kind of happening in and around other states at the moment. But Some bands kind of gave it away during COVID. Some bands went away and wrote songs and did things differently. Let's face it, as we all had to. Where the classic word pivot came into play there. But some new bands have been born in COVID as well. So it's not all bad. So look forward to asking a little bit about your life, mate. Your first memory of music as a youngster. How old were you roughly, and kind of what was playing in the house?
Yeah, look, my first memory of music would be, look, it would have to be my old man's record collection. So a lot of my sort of music taste comes from his. He grew up in a place called Stoke-on-Trent in England, and which is just near Liverpool. So he was lucky enough to see the Beatles at the Cavern Club, and he's got some funny stories. Took a pee next to Rod Stewart one night and saw Eric Clapton when he was playing with the Blues Breakers, all that sort of stuff. Look, my first memory would have just been, I guess, being exposed to probably those first two Beatles records, because he had those on vinyl, which he's given to me now, mono pressings. And look, I think probably that would be what I can recall kind of, really early on there. Parents having friends round to the house and putting those records on.
Yep.
Isn't
it great? It used to be, back in the day, it used to be kind of listening parties. They were called to get a new album and invite some friends around, and we don't get to do that. And when was the last kind of full album you reckon you listened to top to bottom?
It's interesting, not. I listen to albums in the car. So if I'm up in, I think you said I'm up in Castlemaine, which is about an hour and a half north of Melbourne. So if I'm heading down to Melbourne, I'll put an album on, and that's kind of the only chance that it's all about. Seems to be about singles these days. It's kind of a bit of a newer approach, but look, it's not as regular. Definitely not as regular as what it once was, which is a shame, really. It's kind of becoming a bit of a lost art form, the LP.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we're going to kick off tonight. You've been nice enough to grace us with a couple of songs you're going to play for us tonight. So we might kick off with the first one, mate, and then we'll come back for another chat.
Sounds good. All righty. So this track's called Sinking Moon. It's the first song of the album, The Right Dereliction, that we've just released.
There was barely light from the stars, resting by a watchful moon. When the dust did rise, there was nothing left, just a hint of something we once clung on to. By the railway track, where the river runs, sets a course, leads you far from what we knew. Well, you won't look back at these small things when the longing brings a note inside of you. Tell me what you have to prove. I'll tell you what you got to lose. Nothing here to help you through. Nothing but the dark we do. Nothing but the sinking moon. Nothing but the sinking moon. As a matter of fact, there's some tightrope hope strung across the streets that you remember most. It can take you back, it can cleanse your loss, it will let us fight again at any cost. When the blood runs cold and the mind resolves, there'll be something left for you to claim and love. till you hit that high. Best to let it ride. Let the night slowly swallow us again. Tell me what you have to prove. I'll tell you what you got to lose. Nothing here to help you through. Nothing but the dark will do. Nothing but the sinking moon. Nothing but the sinking moon. Tell me what you have to prove. I'll tell you what you've got to lose. Nothing here to help you through. Nothing that the dark will do. Nothing but the sinking moon. Nothing but the sinking moon. Nothing here to hang on to. Nothing but the sinking moon.
There we go.
Beautiful, mate. That was great. Thank you.
Cheers. A little bit of a
Sinking Moon.
Of course.
Yeah, Sinking Moon. Tell us a little bit about Sinking Moon. It's a song that you're about to, obviously it's on the album, but it's about to be released this week, I believe.
Correct, yeah. So it's going to come out, it's the 15th of November. We've got a video clip for it as well that we've filmed up here in Castlemaine, down in Melbourne as well, that will come out, I believe, the following week. So it's really kind of it's the first track on the album. We sort of saw it as sort of the centerpiece of the record in a sense. It sounds great with the band playing on it. Some great Fender Rhodes keys on the track as well. So it's come together really well.
And tell us a little bit about the inspiration. Why the Sinking Moon?
Yeah, I think I just thought it was a nice, it's kind of a message from one friend to another, somebody going through a bit of a rough patch, kind of words of advice, passing on, I guess, yeah, so advice for somebody going through a bit of a rough trot, and the imagery of a sinking moon kind of tied in nicely, I think, with, somebody kind of a bit down on their luck, having a hard time of it. So, that's sort of lyrically kind of what it is. Yeah,
beautiful. All right. And you've released one single off the album already.
Yes.
We're going to just play a little clip from that. So just tell us a little bit about that song before we go with the Rose of Jericho, sorry.
Yeah. So it's, again, it's the first song on the B side. It's the lyrics are kind of, I guess, try to be really thematic with the lyrics. Some interesting. It's a song that's kind of maybe not got a simple sort of narrative structure the whole way through lyrically, but just some interesting ideas with words that play against each other really nicely. Hammond organ in the song, which kind of drives the song a lot. It's kind of like a driving song, really. It's sort of got that kind of solid beat to it. the Hammond that gets played in it, which our guitarist Simon Maiden played at the studio, just really makes it, that's really, that Hammond's really high up in the mix and keeps things ticking along.
Yeah. I noticed a lot of your songs are very much driving songs, mate. They're very relaxing and they're fantastic. So too many long trips from, not too long, but long trips from Castlemaine down to Melbourne and back.
Yeah.
Plenty of thinking time and plenty of driving time. So here we go with the Rose of Jericho. I'm just going to play a little bit of it.
Cool.
Check out town for this empty day. A drooping heart like a marionette. Mention something about the waning moon. How it will eclipse over Cairo soon. From the murky stench of a decayed street to the albatross above the North Pacific, somewhere between I'm gonna leave my heart. Drop it in the ocean, let it churn around in the dark. And if you find some silhouette that brings the ghost you own, then lead it to the hollow of your tree. And as the fever holds amongst the roads of Jericho, the waning moon turns up to hear our prayer. Sapphire coast leads you to a grave beneath the light where the dark is made.
There you go. The Rose of Jericho. All right, I'm going to urge everyone to jump on YouTube and make sure you check the rest of that out. I want to give it all away, but alcar.com.au is where you're looking for. So jump on that, and most importantly, then jump on Bandcamp, buy one, and gift another one to a friend. I'm sure if anyone can do that, I guarantee you they'll thank you later. And when they're driving back from a trip into wherever, driving back, and there's your driving song for the future. So well done on that song, Al. How important is a clip for you these days?
Yeah, look, I think it is important. I never really used to do them, but for this one we've done two. So we're doing another one for Sinking Moon, actually, which has come together really, really well. A guy that I became friends with, Arlo, Dean Cook, who's doing a few music clips around town at the moment. He's done both of those clips for me. But yeah, look, I think, in the digital age, it's kind of a handy thing to have. Yeah, it's not one of those ones that you can absorb all the time sitting there watching that whole clip. Hence the reason it kind of, you sit there and you think, okay, well, when do I cut it? You just, and before you know it, it's one of those songs that you can easily listen to the whole thing. But we're very much in the place now of absorbing very small snippets. So it does give you something to kind of cut up and multi-play across kind of socials. And I think that's really important. Not all artists are doing it, but I think it's important, definitely, on an album. Yeah, I agree. It's kind of, it's just an extra sort of thing that you've got up your sleeve to get out there. It's the way I sort of look at it at the end of the day. Yeah, definitely. And you gave a quick shout out in relation to the making of it and the clip. Can you give me a little sneak preview with what to expect with
Sinking Moon?
Sinking Moon. Well, it's more narrative driven. So Simon, the guitarist in the band, he's an actor in his day job. So he he kind of knows what he's doing, whereas I completely don't know what I'm doing. And it's him and I in the clip. There's a bit of a storyline to it. It's a bit of a we're on the lam. That's all I'll say. We're on the run, and we've got a pub that we drink at down in Fitzroy in Melbourne, the Commercial Club Hotel that kindly let us do some shooting in there. So it's come together really well.
Very nice.
My bag attempts at acting.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we won't be too harsh on you for sure, but we also got a album launch. You've just played one up at your local, The Bridge, a week or so ago in Castlemaine, and then you're off to, in a week's time, the bar open, which will be a great gig Saturday night. Special guests Amy Flight and Rowan Nickel, I believe it. So I look forward to that. It must be great to finally be able to get it out there and play a few live gigs again.
Definitely. Yeah, no, the Castlemaine gig was great at the Bridge. We all love the Bridge. I go there most weeks and see whatever live music they've got happening. The beauty of living in Castlemaine, it's a great music town. There we are, up on out in the beer garden. So that was great. And then the bar open gig will be fantastic, I hope. Amy Flight, who will be playing with her band, who I actually haven't met Amy yet, but I've heard great things about her. And Rowan's an old friend of mine who kind of an out country Americana troubadour, will be opening it up solo. So good lineup. And bar open's always fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Bar open's one of those great venues in Melbourne that's if ever there's not much on, head to Bar Open. You can guarantee there's a gig there. It's incredible, a little place that they've still been able to jam pack most nights, and fantastic for album launches because it can be little and intimate as well, but it also can be pack it out all the way back to the inside the bar there. So fantastic. Next Saturday, not if you've got nothing on now, you've definitely got something on. It's the 18th. Make sure you get there and support Al and the crew releasing this new album. So let's flash back a little bit, mate, to your first EP. We're talking around 2013, I believe, a little while ago now, 10 years.
Yeah.
The Strong Arm. This is cool. I'm really into album covers, so just tell us a little bit about this image.
Yeah, so that photo, so it's actually our guitarist Simon, it's his wife Simon Maiden, who is an amazing photographer, and she's done a few of our album covers. That's a photo that she took, I believe, in Chelsea in New York, in New York City. So that was just a great photo. As soon as I saw it, I thought, wow, that's an album cover right there.
Yeah.
So we went with that one for that release.
Very nice, very nice. And the one behind me, I snuck a little snippet of The Gut of Truth, 2017-ish. Here it is in its entirety. It's a great shot. Where was this taken?
Yeah, so I don't know the exact street, but it's in Fitzroy, so it's kind of one of the back streets of Fitzroy somewhere or other. But just again, a really great photo. Sure
is. And then in roughly 2020, I believe, Empty Skies came out, if Bandcamp's correct. As far
correct. That's very correct. Yeah, no, we had that. Again, another photo from Zoe. But, that came out in 2020, obviously completely stuffed over by COVID stuff. We were going to launch it at the Merry Creek Tavern in Melbourne, and they got all kind of messed up. But, don't want to talk about that sort of stuff.
You eventually got it out there. Do you feel like that kind of album maybe didn't get enough push or airplay because of the time, and then you kind of got out of COVID and you're on to the next thing? How was it for you?
Yeah, look, completely. Yeah. So we had everything kind of lined up, ready to go, and then it all went on hold. And then as soon as we were able, we did the launch show at the Brunswick Artist Spa for it. By then, we'd written a whole new batch of songs and we were ready to go on the next one, but we still wanted to give Empty Skies its kind of day. And so, yeah, we did the gig, but obviously, you know, when you've got a whole new batch of songs ready to go, you're a little bit less passionate and sort of motivated to sort of look back. And but we gave it a little bit of a nudge, and had a couple of gigs that went well. You know, we're sort of proud of that album as well. We recorded that at Temper Trap Studios in Northcote with a guy AJ who runs the studio there. But yeah, it's just like so many bands would have been sort of stuffed over with releases and what have you. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, let's just touch on that time just quickly, because it's interesting to hear how some artists went about it, whether music was part of their life during that phase. We all didn't know how long it was going to go on for, obviously, but you know, was it a positive experience overall for you, other than the lockdown phase? But how did you kind of handle that period?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't say it was positive, but we just kind of, we moved to Castlemaine again, which is a town about an hour and a half north of Melbourne, just at the beginning of COVID. So got a couple of young kids, so they were starting school around that time. So it was just sort of, we kind of got on with it really, in a lot of ways. Sort of musically, I suppose, you just kind of turn to songwriting and doing demos at home. I had a lot more time to play the guitar, bought some silly guitars that I shouldn't have, because I was bored, and now since sold because they were a waste of money and a bad idea. Not a waste of money, but a bad idea. So yeah, it was a good time in the sense of being able to write and to stockpile demos really, which was that we had a great kind of batch of demos to choose the 10 songs from that are on the latest record. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Have you got one more song for us?
Yeah, I do. Let me play you. This song's called Those Diamond Notes. I was going to do the Rose of Jericho, but then
sorry, I stole your thunder a little bit.
No, you won't want to hear that again. Sounds reasonably in tune. So this is a song called Those Diamond Notes, again off the new album.
Needle drops and you hear it again. Lightning strikes each time it plays. It calls you. Some deep old cut, yeah, it hits you hard. The diamond notes enter to your heart. It feeds you. Every time it takes its roll, got it banging around your soul, wailing out a wounded beast, gives you that sweet release. Lights gone cold, then you need it again. The loving hold, yeah, that beautiful dear that saves you. Won't let you down when the time is nigh. Brings you close when the dust is high, yeah, it saves you. Every time it takes its hold, got it bang around your soul, wailing on a wounded beast, gives you that sweet release. When the Lord is tough and nature shares its curse, the rising notes that come before to keep you from the hurt. hurt. From the hurt. Every time it takes its toll, got it back around your soul. Wailing of a wounded beast gives you that sweet release. Gives you that sweet release. Gives you that sweet release.
Yeah, beautiful, man. Thanks again.
Cheers. No worries.
Yeah, it's always great to hear an acoustic version of anything. It sounds a little bit different to that on the album, obviously. The full band rolling on. It's always great. I know plenty of people that are acoustic kind of Nazis in respect of. They absolutely just love acoustic music. And have you ever thought about putting out an acoustic album or a live kind of session version?
Look, it would be something that I'd consider maybe, but it's just for me personally, I do much more prefer to play with other people. So I get a lot more. I do quite a few solo gigs around town because it's just kind of easier sometimes to coordinate. Hard to get everyone sort of on the same page for a full band gig. But I'd say it's a lot more fun playing with other people. Playing with the band is always just, it's more of a joy than kind of standing there on your own. And I think probably more interesting for an audience as well.
Not always. It depends on the environment, format, but plugging in and making a bit more noise is always a bit more exciting too.
It is, yeah.
And guitar always been for you? Was that the first instrument and the way it is for you?
Yeah, guitar's kind of the pretty much all I play. I can't profess to play any other instrument really. So guitar's kind of been the thing since day one.
Yeah, when kind of was day one for you on a guitar? When did you kind of first pick it up?
I reckon I probably asked my mum and dad for a guitar maybe when I was about perhaps 10, I think, something like that. And they bought me this. I'm left-handed, so they, of course, bought me a right-handed guitar.
Sure. Yeah.
Not really realising that there was a difference between left-handed and right-handed guitars. So learned to play it as a right-handed person would, and still play it that way. Even though I am left-handed. So that would have been years ago. But it's sort of, I thank them for buying me that because it's been a great thing to have in my life.
So not a left hand upside downer like a few people.
No, that looks terrifying. I don't know how that even makes sense with chord structures and all that sort of thing. I mean, that's just kind of I don't know how that would even work.
Shout out to two of our friends. Dave Cosmer has been on the show quite a lot, who plays a lot of acoustic left hand upside down, and also George Carr Wilson, Polyman. He's a lefty.
Oh, sure.
So there you go.
Is he? Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's impressive.
So just a quick shout out to those guys as well. Give us one of your biggest inspirations in music, mate. That's been for you.
For me, biggest inspirations, look, I'd probably give you, I've been listening to a lot of The Who recently. So I'd say Pete Townsend, he's kind of been there again from Dad's record collection. Pete Townsend's been a fairly constant, and I'm just kind of getting into some of his solo albums, which I never really gave the time of day. And it might not be that similar to the sort of stuff that I kind of write these days, but Pete Townsend, he'd probably be top 5, I reckon, up there for me. Who else?
What about your top Australian artist? Who do you really like? That's maybe in and around Melbourne, that's playing a heaps of gigs, that's maybe known or not known, but who's kind of do you really love connecting with and listening to when you get a chance?
I've played a few gigs over recent years with a guy called Chris Pickering, who's he's originally from Brisbane, but he's based down in Melbourne these days. Teaches out at JMC, it's a music academy, but he's he's fantastic. He's released a couple of records that I'm in awe of. He spent a bit of time over in Nashville, I think, trying to kind of get things together over there, and he's sort of back in Melbourne on the scene playing gigs every now and then. But whenever I see him, he played at the Empty Skies album launch. He was on the bill, and I played with him, I think, for the Gutted Truth album launch as well. He was on the bill, and I'm always blown away whenever I see him perform. He just plays with a 3-piece, and they're doing these sort of 15-minute cosmic jam things at the moment that are, a sight to behold.
The old psych rock is back in a big way, isn't it?
And he does it with an Americana kind of, slant to it. So it's really interesting.
Absolutely. And I believe there's a bit of a connection with Davey Lane back in the day. You've had Davey play with you.
That's right. Yeah. So the connection there is one of my all-time favorite bands is a band called The Replacements, who are around in the 80s and potentially early 90s. Paul Westerberg, lead singer. You perhaps know them, Aaron, but we put on a tribute night. Actually, it was for a showing of a documentary that had been made about the band, and we contacted the director, me and Simon, guitarist in my band, because we're such big fans, asked him if he wanted to show it over here, and he agreed to that. So we showed it at an old club in Brunswick, the Phoenix Club, I think it was called, but organised this tribute night after the film, where we had a great backing band, Dave Larkin, Davey Lane, a couple of other guys, with guest singers, so Tim Rogers, Charles Jenkins, Nick Barker. It was just a fantastic night. And met Davey through organising that, and that was around 2013 when that EP came out, and asked him if he'd be interested in playing on that record, and he agreed. So that was fantastic for me, because I've always been a big You're My fan, and he's an amazing guitarist, and that was a very exciting moment to have him play on a song that I wrote. Yeah.
Absolutely. And have you got a thought on one artist in particular? If you could just go and grab one artist anywhere right now to play kind of on your next record, have you thought about maybe some artists are potentially out of reach, who knows, but you never know if you never shoot them any details. Who would you have that you'd like to accompany you?
Ooh, look, I would say a band that I bought a ticket actually to see them. They're coming out to Australia, Drive By Truckers. They're out here next March, I think it is. I've always just loved everything that they've ever done. Mike Cooley, Patterson Hood. I think that they're just genius songwriters, and there's a great partnership there between the two of them. So that would be my dream, to be able to sit down with some of those guys. Yeah, that's a very far-fetched dream, but I hold them up very highly. Yeah.
Let's continue that dream for 2 seconds. If you could play any stage or venue right now, if I could transport you in an hour's time and you're on at, say, 10 o'clock, where would it be that you'd love to play one day?
Jeez. Where would it be? Look, maybe I moved back to London 2003 to 2006, and saw a lot of gigs at the Astoria in London, and just loved that venue. That would probably be one of the top venues that would be great to play at.
Awesome. And obviously you'd be headlining, but any band in the world, who would be who would you put opening for you? Just give me one band that you'd love to have open for you.
Oh gosh, I would say, I play with some. There's a mate of mine who I was just jamming with last night, actually, Pete Daly, who's a Castlemaine-based musician and a good mate of mine. So I'd get him to come over, and we'd we'd go over there and drink some pints and play a gig.
Yeah, beautiful. There's plenty of talented artists up Castlemaine way, that's for sure. So
there is.
You could drag a big bus full over there, no doubt.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. The songwriting process for you, it's always an interesting one to talk to artists about. How do you kind of go about your songwriting process, and is it the same every time for each of your albums?
Pretty much, yeah. It's really just kind of messing around on the guitar and coming up with some chords that work, and then some sort of a vocal melody over the chords. I always try to make it, something that's catchy, and then the lyrics are kind of the last thing, that they're kind of a bit of an afterthought. Once you've got the vocal melody there ready to go, that's the key really for me. The lyrics, you try to make them as good as you can, but that's not kind of the main driver, I guess, for me. It's really about the melody and the interest factor in the musicality of kind of how those chords sound all together and what the other guys in the band bring to it. So it starts in that way, and then the lyrics can get changed quite a bit, once you take it into a practice room and the band starts playing. It's like, okay, that doesn't really work lyrically anymore, and so it's kind of, I guess, the order of how I do it. Sure.
And have you ever had any kind of weird experiences where a song's come to you in a weird kind of place at a weird time of the day or hour?
Sure. Yeah. All the time. I often get melodies that come into your mind. You might be walking, pick the kids up from school, or driving down to Melbourne in the car or what have you. And that's the beauty of iPhones. I find, they've got that little sort of dictaphone sort of recording thing on there that you can just kind of press record and look like an idiot and sing the melody into the phone. And the hard part is then going through it all and trying to kind of interpret, all of these little things that you've recorded when you're looking for ideas. Trying to kind of remember what you were trying to do.
Yeah. And what's next for Carr after this? Obviously, there's the new single that's about to release. Then we've got the gig coming up on the 18th. But where else can we find you? Is there anything else happening pre-Christmas, this side of Christmas?
Yeah, look, I'm doing I'm doing that album launch at Bar Up, and then I'm doing an acoustic gig with Pete, who I just mentioned before, another friend Blair, at the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Trentham. That's Saturday, the 2nd of December. And I'll be playing there in February and March as well. Hoping to get up to Sydney, probably just myself and Simon, the guitarist in the band, and sort of in duo mode to kind of sort of do some sort of a launch up there as well in the new year. But then look, we'll probably do some gigs in Melbourne kind of first half of next year for another single. And then hopefully do some more recording.
Yeah, nice. A few more songs in the vault potentially in the next 18 months or so. You've kind of set yourself a bit of a progression every couple of years that looks like you've had a bit of a release. So is that still on the cards?
Hoping to keep that going. Yeah, every couple of years feels pretty good for me, just to kind of get it out there and get the songs out into the world. So it'd be good to do some recording sort of towards the end of next year or sort of second half of next year, and look to go again 2025 with something new.
Yeah. And your thoughts on kind of the new way it really is. I mean, it's not necessarily a new way, but it seems to be a bit of direction a lot of people are heading in as far as singles and single releases, then into EPs potentially, and then maybe a full-length album at different stages. Obviously, there's a few reasons for that, but is that kind of maybe a bit of a way forward for you? How do you kind of look at that?
Yeah, look, I have sort of started to notice that, particularly with the Right Dereliction, this album that we're doing at the moment, that I guess it's everyone loves a long player and an album, particularly as the artist. It's a satisfying thing to have, your 10, 12 songs there on a record, on a piece of vinyl to kind of, prove that you've done it. But I think that is particularly with streaming services, Spotify, all that sort of stuff. They're looking for singles really. I guess the advantage of it is that you can easily go into a studio, and I see a lot of friends and bands that I know do this. They'll record just a few songs at a time and then release them, as singles, and not record the whole album all in one go, and just have this kind of rolling feast of releases to keep the algorithm on Spotify happy and keep the keep people's attention on you. I suppose it's if you're an independent artist, it's probably a smart way to do it.
Yeah, and how challenging is that kind of roadway, I guess you call it now, that that path of being in the mix of out there in the ether of the digital world, effectively. I mean, you'd be glad that vinyl's back, being an old vinyl fan. Really important to, it's a real not a stature thing, but it's just a really nice timepiece to have a vinyl album again back out there. But navigating the road of digital media now, how important is someone like a publicist and all that kind of part of the process?
Yeah, really important, I think. It's been great working with Chris Hamilton for this release. I haven't ever used a publicist in the past, but they just kind of know what they're doing, and I don't know what I'm doing. I have a sort of vague kind of understanding of it, but don't have the connections or anything like that. As an independent artist, it's kind of hard to find the time for that sort of stuff. So, it's been really useful.
Yeah. All right. We're just going to finish with, can you give any words of advice to a young artist kind of coming through, given that, you've had a bit of a long history in music and seen lots of things happen in today's world right now, any kind of words of advice for a young artist still trying to pave their way, I guess?
Look, I think probably just stick at it. Keep releasing music because you'll have the releases that will do something. Some of them might not kind of have the cut through, but just the consistency, I think, is key. And if you love doing it, it's sort of the sense of satisfaction of having that in your life, music in your life, and creating something. It's too important to not do it. So just keep at it. That's sort of been my approach, and you get a lot of joy out of it and satisfaction. So and a lot of fun times as well.
Yeah, you sure do. It's an incredible talent, being a musician, having that gift. You've got a couple of gifts there. Obviously, a gift of being able to play the guitar, but also a gift of being a front man and being a singer. So well done, mate. Keep it going, and long may it continue.
Cheers, Aaron. Thanks very much.
No worries. All right. The last question we ask normally is the classic dinner table question and the dinner party question. You are invited, or you're inviting, you're having a dinner and you're inviting 5 other guests to sit around the table with you. They can be living or dead. They can be at any stature. You got to give me 5. It's not an easy one, but we don't normally prepare for this one. So just letting everyone know that this is totally off the cuff.
5. Okay. Well, I'd have to invite my wife, Bree. That's boring, but, she'd get upset if I didn't invite her. Who else? Gosh. I'd probably throw in, Pete Townsend. I mentioned him before. It'd be great to have a chat to him. That's a really tough question. I'm thinking I should invite a few more friends, and then you think of musicians that you know, and then I heard that they were grumpy. I was going to say someone like George Harrison, but then I thought, you hear that he's a really grumpy bugger.
Well, that's right. You might change that. He may be a surprise. Who knows? So let's put him on the table. There's 3. Yeah.
There's 3. All right. Who else have we got? I'd also go. I've got to have one of the bandmates there, so I'd go with Simon. This is really boring, probably, in terms of who I'm choosing, but also, does it have to be music related?
Not at all. Absolutely not. No.
Okay.
We've had presidents. We've had all sorts of people turn up. Comedians.
Okay.
It's been a mix.
I'll go with Bill Hicks. You mentioned comedians. I reckon he's an interesting cat. So I think
all right, there you go. There you go. And you've probably changed the tradition a little bit. You're one of probably only a couple of artists that's actually invited their significant other. So well done, mate. Not very often. So congratulations to Bree, who gets a seat at the table. She'll be very happy.
I'll let her know later.
Absolutely. All right, Al, we might leave it there, mate. It's fantastic to have a chat with you. Please feel free to shoot us some details anytime you've got something coming up. We'd love to keep connecting with you, and any other artists you can think of that you'd like to introduce us to, feel free to give them our details, and we'd love to have them as part of our show again. But thanks again, Al Carr. You've been fantastic, mate. Very generous with your time, playing a couple of songs for us, and good luck with the release of this new album, the Right Dereliction. It's an exciting time for you putting music back out there again. Long may it continue, and congratulations on the album. This has been episode 117 of So What's Been Happening with Al Carr. So thanks again, Al. See you out there.
Cheers, Aaron. Thanks very much.
Look forward to it. There you go, Al Carr joining us. Don't forget the album launch, The Right Dereliction, is bar open next week, next Saturday. So make sure you can try and get out to that one if you can. And just a special mention to all sorts of guests that we've had on this show. There's a bit of a list compiled, plus we've had a few more. So it's a bit of a who's who. We're starting to get through them, and we're connecting with some fantastic people. Anyone involved in art, sport, and music is always welcome on this show to tell their story and tell us a little bit about themselves. So this has been episode 117 of So What's Been Happening. We look forward to another one early next week. We've got Matt Malone and the Holy Spirit, so look forward to that joining us. There you go. So enjoy your night. I'll see you out there. I'm heading off to the tote to see Bad Dreams. See you soon.